Hello and welcome back to Wisdom in Action, the podcast where we explore what it takes to bridge the gap between knowing and doing, because that's where the real wisdom is born. I'm Ostra Putin, resilience coach and podcast strategist, and I created this space to have honest conversations with real experts and bring you practical insights you can apply, not just think about. Today, we're joined by Leah Gross, an occupational therapist with more than 20 years of experience and the founder of Circle Care Services, where she provides support for children diagnosed with autism and their families. She's also the host of two podcasts supporting BCBAs, families, and caregivers in the autism community. Leah, welcome to Wisdom in Action.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on today.
I really look forward to this. To start us off, what is one piece of wisdom that changed everything once you started applying it?
Well, that's a loaded question. What piece of wisdom? So I really think the biggest piece of wisdom is just do. You have to do your background, you have to do your research, you have to be confident, you have to have the skills. But then if we keep it all in our brains and we don't apply it, then we don't see it and it's as if it didn't happen.
I feel like you're echoing a lot of what this pod.
I am. Oh, I thought you were hearing an echo and I'm like, oh.
No, you're just echoing what this podcast is about.
Okay, so you brought the right guest on, I guess.
Exactly. So how did you get into what you're doing?
Okay, so I guess I would start my career journey. I think that's what you're asking about. Back in 2004, I started going for college. I knew I wanted to get into healthcare sort of field. So I looked into different therapies and I started taking different classes within the healthcare industry, a lot of sciences, a lot of maths. And then I decided on occupational therapy, which is a real love of mine. And I really, really enjoy what I do. Um, and I always thought I was going to be a hand therapist. And I graduated in 2009, started in the field of occupational therapy. I started in acute care to get a good background on the medical field. So then I got into the field of occupational therapy. I thought I was going to be a hand therapist, and the need for sensory integration, I'm in the state of New Jersey, was really, really big. So I started treating private clients in occupational therapy. I had a basement then that I treated out of first I put up a swing and mats, and as I got each new client, I bought a new piece of equipment because the sensory gyms need to be very equipped and they're really expensive. The materials for sensory gyms are really expensive. So each new client, I bought a new piece of equipment, and before you knew it, I had this huge, beautiful gym, and I was being inundated by different people in New Jersey that really needed sensory integration. And a lot of these children are very complex. They need a lot more than just the sensory integration. They were getting all different kinds of support, speech therapy, ABA, psychology. They were getting tons of other services. And I was collaborating. I was a one-on-one therapist. I was very interested in the field. And for those out there that are new in the field, I took tons of continuing ed courses. Anything I heard, I wrote it down, I researched it, and then I took a course on it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to be happy with my current skill set, even though I have a great skill set and people are flocking just for the sensory integration piece because I was new and the older therapists were not doing sensory integration. I was like, no, I'm not going to stop there. I took courses on floor time. I took courses on MNRI. I took courses on vision. I went down to Israel to visit a doctor who is specialized in vision treatment. And I studied under him for a good week. And then whenever I had an opportunity, I saw somebody was giving a course, I took it. And it really built up my knowledge base. And what it really taught me was that when you have a bag of skills and you could just reach into them for any child, for any person that you're dealing with, you never regret taking a course. You never regret having that extra knowledge because no two people are the same and everybody needs something different. And people that specialize in X, Y, and Z, but then can't veer off of that, that's not a great practitioner either, because we need to make sure that we have that bag of skills that we're able to pull in and that we're able to say, ABA works for this child, floor time works for this child, right? We're going to have to say whatever method it is that works best for that child. And there's trial and error in figuring that out. But if you don't have the bag of skills and you don't have the knowledge, then you can't really go there. So for all new practitioners out there that are saying, how do I become a good practitioner? Keep on learning. What they teach you in school is not enough. You need to specialize within your field and become really good at that, because it's super important to advance your skills and have multiple skills, because no two people are the same. So I was treating and I was enjoying. I loved working with the kids. I loved working with the families. Unfortunately, there were a lot of families that I got to see that were struggling. They were struggling. Parents were at wit's end. They have a child with a lot of needs. They have more children besides for that child, figuring out how to cope, what to cope. And then I was watching them go from therapy to therapy to therapy. And I was like, hey, what about putting it all under one roof? So I added to my occupational therapy practice speech therapy, and we collaborated just between the two of us. So the parent had one-stop shop, and everyone kept on saying, add ABA, add ABA. And at that time, my husband always runs my back office. And he was like, the insurance is kind of funky there. I'm not sure I want to deal with it. And then COVID hit in 2019, and I was treating children via Zoom. And we were doing telehealth, which was new to the world, which I think was actually a wonderful thing for the world of medicine and therapies, because now it opened up our minds to that we can treat people far away. We can give guidance to people that are not in, let's say, the state of New Jersey or wherever I'm located. But for my real sensory children that were very complex, I didn't really think it was ethical to be doing sensory treatment over Zoom. I would do like the parent training and help as much as I could, but it wasn't consistent. They weren't getting their brushing lotion joint compressions. They weren't getting their swings. They weren't getting their proprioceptive input. They weren't getting all the things that they needed. So I pretty much shut down most of my practice in that time period when we were closed. Like, we weren't allowed to have people in our office at that time. And then I was bored. Not a good thing for me. So I was like, okay, what do we do next? And one of my people that were running the back office, she had an ABA clinic, and she said, let's team up together and let's open up an ABA clinic. And at that time, I had a bunch of clients requesting it, so I had a good couple to start with. And I opened up Circle Care Services ABA. And under it, my idea was to have an umbrella approach where we all were able to collaborate. We were all able to respect each discipline. We weren't saying that one's better than that one, but rather, how can we treat the child as a whole and collaborate and make this easier for the parents? Let them have one place to come and get everything they needed. And it's been a journey. I started in 2019. Now in 2025, I have over 700 clients. And I am across 4 states, and we keep on going. So we're currently also in Georgia. We have a beautiful clinic there. We have 2 beautiful clinics here in New Jersey. And then we are in North Carolina and Utah. And Maryland, so 5, and we have more states that we're planning to roll out shortly. But what I think really, really speaks to the world is that as a practitioner myself, I really am out there for the children and for the families, and not so much for the money or for the things that business owners want to do with ABA or with the whole industry of healthcare, but rather I'm really out there to help the clients, to be there for the clients, to be there for the parents, and to be there for the practitioners. I think practitioners need a lot of support as well. We are people. We also need to take care of ourselves. We also need to continue our education. We also have to stay sharp. And being in the field for this amount of time, I see things change, and we need to stay current with the change as well. And if we get old and stale and we're not invigorated and we're not getting new information and we're not getting new education, then we can't be top of the game. And then the children suffer because they're not getting the best treatment.
All right, so there's a lot for us to dissect there. Quite a journey. Before you get into it, I'm curious, where do you have your drive from? Always learning, always like it's very, I think, I don't want to say rare, but it's not something that you come across every day when there's somebody so hungry to like learn, develop, get better, help people.
So I guess I'm just blessed. Thank God. I've had all I needed always. And for me, my motivation is helping others. And I'm a mom of 6 as well, and I'm always helping them and I'm always caring for them. Um, I have a husband as well that, he's somebody I care for. But I really think making a big impact in the world, helping others, as long as we are healthy people, which is important, we have to nurture ourselves, make time for ourselves, give ourselves self care. I do take 1 day a week off. So that when my kids are in school, so that I could take care of myself. I might end up doing a continuing ed course then. I might do a massage that day, whatever it is. I do take care of myself. You got to keep your cup full so that you could give to others. But it's something that I find very gratifying.
So can you walk us through the therapies and what are they for? What are some of the differences and what are the kids that you work with?
Okay, yeah, sure. So, occupational therapy, which is still where my heart is at. I love it. It's so much fun. We work a lot, if we want to go the sensory route, on self-regulation. What does self-regulation mean? That means that I'm able to regulate my body. Able to stay in a state of attentiveness where I could do the things that I need to do. So we all dysregulate throughout the day, right? Like I was just saying, I take that day off to help myself stay regulated, to help myself stay grounded. On a typical person, we have learned throughout our lives how to regulate ourselves, how to keep ourselves grounded, how not to go off the edge. But some individuals need a little guidance with that. That's something that's hard for them. On a child level, that will be where we see a child bouncing off the walls, moving really fast, not being able to sit in their seat in school, or another point of dysregulation would be that child that's really sleepy in his seat and is not attentive at all. That's under attentive, right? So under responsive is what we call it, but that child is also not regulated because he's not in a state to be able to attend and focus and do the things that he needs. So we might help a child to address dysregulation. Many times that is through sensory integration. We might help a child with fine motor skills, which again, that helps him to do the task that he needs to do that day, whether it is writing, whether it is opening bottles, opening chip bags, buttoning his shirt, tying his shoes. That's the fine motor aspect that occupational therapists will address, handwriting. And then there's the gross motor skills. So individuals who can't ambulate properly, who can't move properly, who can't put one foot in front of the other properly, is constantly banging into other people, not able to navigate a playground. That's called gross motor. That's how we move our physical body. And you've seen it in the world. There are people that need help with that as well. Many times children are what we call low muscle tone, which is weaker, and therefore they can't do the activities that their parents are doing. They're not able to engage in sports, or just recreational activities that other children their age are able to do. So we might address that as well. Then, like I was mentioning earlier, there's the visual aspect where children need to be able to, well, I'm saying children because I'm a pediatric occupational therapist, but really this could be applied to adults as well, where they can't read properly. They can't, and one of the tasks or daily living of a child is to be able to read. And then that preps them to be able to work because most of us read at work in some capacity. And in order to continue our learning, we have to read. So that's why we'll address vision. And that's pretty much how our eyes move and process information in the environment. So we might address vision. And then as well, self-care, which is how we take care of ourselves throughout the day, to be able to dress ourselves, to be able to feed ourselves. And there's a lot of skill that goes into that, to be able to toilet ourselves, to have a healthy sleep schedule. Those things are things that occupational therapists can work on as well. Then there's the speech therapy, which is how we articulate. So this is a separate field, speech therapy, which is how we articulate. That's if I can understand what you're saying. So sometimes we hear people lisping. They might not be saying the right R, or um, they're just unintelligible, which means we can't understand them. Their sounds sound mush. And on a child, right? If you think back to children, that's something that's very big in children, developing 0 to 6 and helping them to develop that, as well as what we call language, which is using the right terminology, using the right social skills, having the language to ask and to receive. Expressive and receptive language fall under that. Am I able to tell you what I want? Can I ask for the things that I want? And if I can't, a speech therapist will intervene and give me those skills. Um, and can I express my feelings? And then can I understand what you're saying? If you're asking me a question, can I give you a response that matches the answer? Are you getting the information that you're asking me? So, speech therapy is very big. We see it in children and then all the way through adults, and then again into the older population, geriatrics, where sometimes dementia comes in and we might need to work on those skills again. We'll work on the memory, we'll work on, again, the expressive and receptive language. Lastly is ABA. That's the last one that I added on in 2019, which is behavioral therapy, where what's called behavior analysis, where we look at children's behaviors and see how that is impacting them. So I just went back for my master's in last year in 2024. I started, and I should be finishing now in 2026. Sorry, I started in 2025, January 2025, and I'm going to be finished in January 2026. I took an accelerated program because I already had a master's, and I have so much experience with the children. It really helped me through my graduate program pretty fast. And in this field, we're really looking at what happens before a behavior that influences that behavior, and then what happens after the behavior, what sort of consequence or response does that child get or that individual get. And we work very hard on managing difficult behaviors and helping individuals that are very developmentally delayed to function within society. So in this field, in the past, many times individuals with developmental disabilities would end up being put away in a home, and they wouldn't be able to stay at home because their lack of skill and the world's lack of understanding of very involved children. Um, ABA has become very, very popular for children on the autism spectrum, and in America, we are insurance is reimbursing very nicely for the service, because I believe their hope is that we're going to be able to keep as many individuals at home in a place where people care for them, and keep them in society, help give them the skills so that then they could be a contributing part of society. Every individual's on a different level. Some might be able to, once they get a job, and help maybe, in Walmart, and some are very, very capable and they're able to go into the tech industry or whatever special interest they have. And it's something that I'm so grateful that I'm able to be a part of in moving children along. I get them at the child age. I'm treating mostly 0 to 12, but we're able to really build foundational skills for them to be able to be a part of society. We'll help them with social skills. We'll help them with developing. A child will come in, they can't talk. We sometimes will give them a device to be able to communicate, or maybe we'll be able to teach them to speak. A child will come in, they can't use the bathroom, and then we'll really be able to help them to be able to be toilet trained and use a bathroom, not be able to dress themselves, get them to dress themselves, not be able to be in a classroom, get them to be able to be integrated into a classroom. So it's a new and developing field that I am really enjoying being a part of, and really enjoying watching the growth of the field as well.
And I understand that you work with kids with autism. Is it also neurodivergent kids as well?
So
And can you
behavior
explain
and
like what are the differences?
yeah. So neurodiverse children, I would say, are just, or individuals, neurodiverse individuals are individuals with any sort of diagnosis that sets them apart from being neurotypical. And these individuals are amazing. They're fascinating people, and they come along with a beautiful set of skills as well. And in 2025, I think the idea is that we are going to really embrace them and bring them into society, which is something that is really needed, and they shouldn't be shoved in a room or in an institution. They have so much to offer to society. So I'm sorry, I forgot the question you asked.
So what's the difference between like autism, neurodivergence?
Oh, that's the difference between autism and neurodivergence. Sorry about that. So, autism is a diagnosis. It's one of the types of diagnosis under neurodivergence. And neurodivergence means just anybody with a neurological deficit or neurological diagnosis. I don't even want to call it deficit because some of them are so fascinating, so amazing, and not are they don't need to be called, a deficit. It's not a deficit. It's who they are, and really, we need to accept that and bring them in at their level and take the good, as we really do from every individual we meet. Really, just take the good and really see it that way.
I'm curious when it comes to people who have autism and neurodivergence, if you have any thoughts or ideas on how they can be. I think they're now much better integrated in society, but what are some of things or some of the improvements that you would want to see or that you have observed that you would want to bring to life?
So, really, the concept that they really have amazing abilities. Some of our, if we look back to who invented what, a lot of our people that made beautiful inventions that contributed to society were on the autism spectrum, or back then they called it Asperger's, which is like the higher level of functioning. They have so much to contribute to society, and even on the lower end of functioning individuals, we need people to bag our groceries. We need people to help out in society on every single level. So really, I would love to see each individual. I like to say children because that's who I deal with, but each individual, each child really reach their maximum skill level where they're given the opportunity through therapies, through one-on-one education, to really develop those skills so that they could be a contributing factor to society, and that they could be integrated, and that they could be understood. I don't know if you watched the show Love on the Spectrum.
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it. I have seen clips.
It is great. It is great because really what it shows you is all the different levels of autism. They have to every level, and then they also bring in just neurodiverse individuals, not only individuals on the autism spectrum. And you get to see how they're real people. They have real emotions. They are people that everyone should love and should really want to help out. And I think that if we're open-minded, we can understand that they help us too. They contribute to us too. They help us develop our emotion. And like you sort of said, what drives me is giving. And they're also, we're able to give to them. And then, eventually our hope is that they give back to society as well. But it gives us a place to put all of our our need to give, and eventually they grow into amazing people. Similar, I think, to parenting in general, where we have children and we nurture them. And it's not easy to be a mom to a neurotypical or neurodivergent. And we really put our all into it. I'm like, why are we all moms? Like, why do we do this? Like, do we like self-inflicted torture? I don't think so. I think it's mostly because we have that need to give. We have that need to be able to keep the world perpetuating goodness, and by bringing individuals into the world and by educating individuals, we're going to create an amazing world where goodness continues.
Another thought that came in my mind as you were speaking, that I think we need more compassion and understanding, because I think there's more awareness now, but I don't think that enough people know or understand or just have enough information about all of these things that you know, which is one of the reasons why I'm happy that you're having a podcast where you actually educate people about this, because I think that the more we understand, the more we have the compassion, understanding, the more we can actually be open to embracing these kids as well. Because I think a lot of the times, instant thought or place where a lot of times we go, and it's not just these cases but in general, is either like judgment or, oh, they don't fit in, or you just focus on the negatives rather than trying to come up with solutions or kind of different ways how we can actually find a way to integrate them in society. And one thing that I have noticed is, I'm actually curious with your experience with working with kids, because I think from some clips that I have seen from Love on Spectrum, they are so real with their emotions and expressing them. I feel like more of us should learn to do that because we suppress so much, especially joy, happiness, love. I feel like we suppress so much of those things, and they're so free to express them, and they're not afraid, and they'll come and hug you and, express their love.
There is so much to learn from them every single day. I always say with my own children, with the children that I work with, they give to me just as much as I give to them. Giving is getting, and that's the bottom, that's something that we all have to remember. And as far as the compassion, and I love the word that you used, which was judgment. Um, we have to be compassionate, and we have to teach others around us to be compassionate and to be open-minded and not to judge. And when we're open-minded and we're ready to learn, we do learn. And that is really an important piece to teach ourselves. We have to remind ourselves, people that are not exactly like us, it's okay. That's fine. We could still learn from them. We could still gain from them. I actually just spoke to a mom who's an author, and her book was all about letting other children know how to treat a child on the autism spectrum. And one of the things that she said was, I just wish they would give him more time. Just wait. Let him answer the question. Let him give you a response. Don't always be so overbearing. Just give him the space to respond. He has what to say. And sometimes we have to remember that not everyone responds in the same time frame that you respond. Not everyone is as fast as you. Not everyone thinks exactly like you. Nonetheless, that person could teach you so much, and you could learn so much from them. And they do have emotion, and they do have thoughts, and give them the space to express it.
That's a big one, I think, for all of us to remember. That one is patience, but also to embrace different people and different opinions, objectives, behaviors. That's where we actually explore and grow and expand ourselves, really, and really explore more of what it is to be a human.
Yeah, yeah. And those of us that like to learn and grow, those of us that have a motivation to really get out there and understand this amazing world that we live in, if we give it the space and we give it the time and we open our minds up to learning, there's so much to learn.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about is what would be is there any advice that you would give to families who have children with autism, how to, because it is, as you said, it is a challenge of itself to have a kid, but if that kid has also some special needs, or especially if sometimes you might not even know how to provide those or what those are, what would be your advice?
So educate yourself. I know I'm a big educator, obviously, and I'm very into education. I have a podcast called Autism Roundtable, and that's for parents and caregivers. And we really just explore the world of autism, the world of neurodiverse individuals, and what's available for them, what's out there, what resources can you grasp onto to help you and your child, whether it's through like the pediatric years, 0 to 12, whether it's adolescent years, which is a whole nother animal, and then adulthood as well. I bring on individuals that are on the autism spectrum that are so cool and have gone so far. I bring on parents, siblings, and then I bring on a lot of professionals in the field to really help give guidance and to know what's out there. So I think educating yourself is really important, and then being compassionate to yourself is really important, and understanding that you were given a gift and you are working hard, whether you signed up for it or you didn't, but you're doing the best you can for your child. And as long as every day you wake up and you really live by those rules of I'm here to provide for my child. I'm doing the best I can with the tools I've got. Um, and really hearing what your child has to say, implementing your child's will, whether it is don't like that therapist or they're not connecting well, move on, be an advocate for your child, get them the best care that you as a mom intuitively feel is good. Because a lot of times we have intuitions and they don't talk for no reason. It's through experience that we've come to make these thoughts and feelings and having those intuitions of what's best for a child. And if you do the research and then you have negative feelings or positive feelings, follow your intuition because mothers do know best. And I always tell my clients that as well. As a mother, I live by that rule. And as a therapist, I live by that rule. If a parent comes in and says, we don't want to work on this goal anymore, we would like to change the goal, I will respect that. I think that's really important. I think that there's not one way to get to a destination. There are multiple ways to get there. And as a good practitioner, as a good parent, we're always problem solving. We're always thinking, okay, we want to get him to do X, Y, and Z, but he doesn't like this direction. Let's go an alternative route. Might that route take a little longer? Maybe, but we're patient people. So let's go for it and let's figure out another way. And if that other way doesn't work, let's find another way because there's always a way to get there.
That's I think being open in your approach. I think it's very important as a practitioner because I think a lot of the times, especially when you have found something that works, it might seem that the natural response to be that I know better, which sometimes you might actually know better, but finding in that balance of also being open that maybe this route is not the one that I would choose as the best route, but it might be better route for this person or for this family. I think it's such an important thing to stay open-minded and flexible in your approaches. And that actually leads back to that importance of education. So you have many resources and different modalities that you can use to help kids that you're working with.
Yeah, yeah. And it's very important to grab into that bag and use those modalities and not to be rigid because life isn't rigid. I mean, every time we have something set out that we think we got it all like perfect, how many times does that really work? Right? Life is happening, life is changing, and our perspective has to be that we're ready to change with it. Because if we're rigid and we think there's only one way to get anywhere or one solution to a problem, we're going to live with disappointment. And I hate disappointment. So, really coming up with an alternative to every solution is possible. I live by that rule and it's worked for me. So, there's always an alternative solution. And the question is how? Whether that means a new therapy, whether that means a new way of thinking, whether that means whatever it is, there's always a way. We just have to figure out what that way is. And it might not come up that minute. You might have to sit on that for a month, 2 months, 3 months. But eventually, if we're really thinking of ways to solve that problem, we will find it.
Yeah, that's very important. So, as we slowly come to the end of our conversation, I wanted to ask you what are some of the things that you have learned about yourself from the work you have done with the kids and also being a mom to 6 kids.
I learn every day, every single day. And every time I bump into a problem with one of my children, I don't like to call it a problem. We'll call it a speed bump. But every time we hit a speed bump, I always say to my husband, okay, another one. And it was like, you're going to get through this. You are going to get through this. And at the end of the day, no child is straight. I have 6 children. They're all fabulous, amazing. They have so much to give to the world. And I really see that in them. But each one needs something. And I'm talking about neurotypical children here. Each one needs a tutor, a support, an emotional support, a physical support. I can say that any of my 6 children didn't need help in something. Every single one needed something. And we have to remember that as parents that, like you said, we're learning from our children and we're navigating this journey. I always like to say, I'm just the shaman. I'm just here to guide them through their journey. It's their journey. It's not my journey. And I can learn so much from their journey as well while I'm going through my own journey of life. But I'm here to guide them. And not everyone needs the same guidance. So even though, let's say, for five of my children, the typical way of raising my children where no meant no, yes means yes, follow through, the typical ABA, behavioral developmental way of treating works really well for five of my children. One of my children, authority just does not work for her. Anything I say with like a demand is like almost like I just like ripped her heart out. It's like, no, I can't do that. And I have to remember, okay, this one needs something different. And we have to just remind ourselves and be open to change and open to learning. And it's something I have to teach myself all the time. Be open to learning, be open to a different path. Because if we're open to learning and we're open to a different path and we're open to the research, a lot of times I go back on my own children, not on a child that I'm treating in a clinic. In a clinic, I'm always researching, but on my own children. Oh, he has dyslexia. Okay, now let me go research what is dyslexia. And then I'm going to research every single type of dyslexia and every single type of treatment of dyslexia for my own child, because that's my job as a mom, is to develop myself for my children so that then they could be better, contributors to society one day and hopefully function in society and give back.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. And it's also awesome to see how involved you are and how much you are dedicated to become your best version and do everything necessary to be there for them, support them. I'm just sitting here being like, this is just like so beautiful. I love to see that.
Thank you.
So before I ask you the last question, tell us where people can find you, connect with you, learn more about what you do, get your podcasts and resources.
Okay, so anywhere on the web, circlecareservices.com. You can find us on Instagram, on Facebook. Our website is www.circlecareservices.com. You can find me on LinkedIn if you're a practitioner looking for anything. You can look up our podcast. If you're a BCBA, you get credits for watching and listening. Sorry, for listening to the podcast. So that's My BCBA Life. If you're a parent and you would like resources for a neurodivergent child, or just to learn more about the neurodivergent world, you want to open your mind and learn about our community, look me up, Autism Roundtable. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. You'll find us there.
All right. So last question I have for you. What is one piece of wisdom you're still learning to live?
Oh, one piece of wisdom I'm still learning to live. That's a really great question. I would say the wisdom that I'm always striving and learning to live is living through the journey. Really, our life is a journey and we can't make any sort of predictions, and we have to accept. And acceptance is a piece of being able to be motivated, being able to get up every morning, to be able to keep on doing good in the world. When we accept that we're on a journey that has bumps, that has curves, that has different routes, and we never know where it's going to go. And when you get into that space of whichever route it goes, if you embrace it instead of fighting it and just lean into it and see, how could I take my skills and make this journey even better and benefit others? Um, I feel like that's the journey.
Love it. And agree. Agree. All right, Leah, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. I'm sure a lot of people gain a lot of awareness, information about autism and what you do. So I highly recommend people to go check you out, listen to your podcast. I listened to a couple of episodes, really interesting stuff. And to all of the listeners, if you're an expert with 20 plus years of experience and you want to come on and share your wisdom, there'll be information below. And if you want to start a podcast or need help with producing or growing your podcast, there'll be information below as well. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you in the next episode.